Let's be real. Artificial intelligence is totally reshaping our world. I mean, from farming to the most critical decisions, its power is just exploding. And with that kind of power, well, it comes with a huge shared responsibility to steer it in the right direction, ethically. So let's dive in. I love this quote because it really gets to the heart of the matter. You see, AI isn't some neutral force of nature. It's built by people, which means it automatically reflects our values, our goals, and yeah, you guessed it, our biases. That's exactly why having a clear ethical framework isn't just a nice to have, it is an absolute must. All right, so here's the plan for our explainer. We're going to kick things off by looking at what's at stake with a tale of two very different futures. Then we'll talk about why we need an ethical operating system for AI, introduce a set of 10 core principles, see how to actually put them into practice, and finally wrap up by talking about our role as stewards in this brand new age. To really get a grip on what's at stake here, let's take a look at something specific, like AI-powered vertical farming. Now, the technology itself is just a tool, right? But how we decide to use it, that's what will determine whether we create a future of decay and control, what we're calling atrophy, or a future of growth and empowerment, which we'll call ascent. And this slide just lays it all out, plain and simple. Over on the left, you've got the atrophy scenario. This is the future without any ethical guardrails, where AI leads to nonstop surveillance, our data gets exploited, and all the power ends up in just a few hands. But look to the right. That's the ascent scenario. With some ethical guidance, that very same AI can empower workers, fine-tune resource use, boost biodiversity, and build a whole system based on trust. The choice is pretty stark, and it's up to us to make it. So when you're faced with those two possible futures, it becomes crystal clear that we need some kind of guide, right? We can't just leave our path to chance. We need a foundational framework, an ethical operating system, if you will, to help us navigate all these incredibly complex decisions. So what principles should even be in this framework? Well, here's the thing. Research shows we tend to focus on the obvious stuff. In one study, students had no problem identifying the need for things like transparency and privacy. But those deeper principles, like non-maleficence, which is basically the duty to do no harm, were barely even mentioned, and that highlights a huge gap. We need a guide that covers the whole ethical landscape, not just the easy parts. And that brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer. What if we had a modern decalogue? A really clear, straightforward set of 10 foundational principles that could act as that ethical operating system, guiding developers, policymakers, and really all of us as we build this AI-powered future together. So what would a modern set of commandments for AI actually look like? Well, these 10 principles offer a kind of compass for navigating the tricky ethical terrain of artificial intelligence. First up, human dignity. This is the bedrock, the foundation for everything else. It's the simple but super profound idea that people are not just data points to be optimized. Second, no false absolutes. We have to remember that algorithms are incredibly powerful tools, but they're not infallible oracles with absolute authority. And third, responsibility. Every single piece of AI-generated output, whether it's a picture or a life-changing decision, has real-world consequences, and somebody has to be accountable for them. Okay, next on the list, limits and rest. It is so crucial that technology serves us and not the other way around, because that just leads to burnout. Then we have to preserve human wisdom. Look, AI can spit out endless information, but true wisdom, our culture, our values, that's passed down from person to person, and you just can't replace that. And finally, and this one is completely non-negotiable, the preservation of life. AI must never, ever be used to instrumentalize or endanger a human life, period. And to round out our 10 principles, integrity and boundaries. AI should never be used to manipulate us or invade our personal spaces. Next, data ownership and consent. This one's simple. Our data is our own, and using it without our permission is just theft. Then, truth and transparency. We have a right to understand how an AI is making decisions about us. And last but not least, desire and control. Ethical AI should empower us, not be designed to prey on our weaknesses for a quick buck. Okay, so these principles are a fantastic guide. But how do we actually translate them from these high-level ideas into concrete actions that companies and organizations can actually use? This table is where the rubber really meets the road. It shows us exactly how to put these principles into practice. So the principle of data ownership becomes a clear strategy. You create clear data agreements. Transparency becomes a demand for explainable AI and doing regular fairness audits. You see,
This is how we move from just talking about ethics to actually building ethical systems.
And the best part is, this is already starting to happen. Data ethics is now becoming a key part of education. For instance, in programs teaching teenagers how to use drones for agriculture, there's literally a lesson on data ethics and culturally responsive mapping. We're building these principles right into the foundation of the technology of the future. Which brings us to our final section. What is our role in all of this? What is our responsibility as the creators, the designers, and the users of these unbelievably powerful tools? This quote from Howard Gardner just absolutely nails it. Our most important job isn't just about programming machines with more and more data. It's about instilling them with our deepest, most humane values. It is all about value transmission. And here's the crucial point. The challenge of ethical AI, it's not a technological one. It's a human one. It's not about controlling our machines. It's about cultivating the wisdom and the character in ourselves to be worthy of the incredible power we now hold in our hands. You know, in the end, AI is a mirror. It reflects our society's choices, our priorities, our biases, and it amplifies them for the whole world to see. So the question we're all left with is this. As we stand here, right in front of this mirror, what values are we going to choose to show it? What kind of future are we going to ask it to reflect back at us?